about their business. Defense will be at a premium this evening.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to give here tonight, but Dayton is right now not where they want to be defensively. So there is room, in theory, for Fordham to do some scoring, but other than Hayford and Donaldson, they have struggled to put the ball in the basket, shooting-wise, turnovers. Dayton, as you mentioned, turns it over. Fordham loves to take it away. So there's a couple of contrasting styles and trends and numbers in this game. We'll have to see which ones actually win out. The Rams begin with the basketball off to our left on this Wednesday night. Mandy McGurk dropping it down low, and Lee gets a quick two, and the Rams think that's a place for them to pounce here tonight. They think their bigs can score on Dayton's bigs.
And at 6'4", Aminat Ali will not shy away from the size that Dayton has down low.
Rams are going to do everything they can to force the issue on this end. This is Bohannon, and now Wolf, number 10, 1,000-point score in her career. Bohannon skyward for three, and the Flyers jump on top.
And Destiny Bohannon getting that win in overtime against LaSalle, a team-high 15 points, and clutch in that overtime period, drained 4 free throws to seal the victory.
Now, a knockdown three is not too rare for Bohannon, but it is rare in general for Dayton. This is, by percentage, the second worst three-point team in the conference, but in terms of makes per game, they are dead last in the league.
Yeah, and in our chat with Coach Bridgette Mitchell, she talked about defensively forcing Dayton to have to make three-point shots. And how about Mandy McGurk with her struggles over the last 9 games in the starting lineup? Something desperately needed to see there.
She had 6 in their last game as Hayford gets the takeaway. It's Donaldson, a little too strong. Hayford has the offensive rebound. She's got it back. She'll shoot it. And now it's Donaldson. A third chance at points off the Hayford steal. Lee battling low with Mariah Perez. Sets a screen. Hayford a wild shot. Lee has it rim out. Her offensive rebound doesn't work, and finally Dayton can clear.
And good job by Mariah Perez coming over and getting an alter on that layup attempt by Lee.
A lot of chances, no points on that trip down the floor for the Rams, at least after the steal from Hayford. They did get points initially before her thievery. Pull up, Jones, that's off to the right, and Donaldson's off and running. Lee's with her, so is McGurk. It ends up with Hayford, who is all sorts of quick, can get to the rim. Resets McGurk here. Halfway through the shot clock, Donaldson puts a move, gets low, and will get free throws. It'll be on Anissa Jones.
And Taylor Donaldson is going to be quicker just about against everyone in a Dayton uniform. So using her quickness and trying to go right at Anissa Jones there. And Jones, no choice but to swipe down as Taylor Donaldson goes to the charity stripe.
Quick change for Fordham. Manny McGurk is out. Taya Davis comes in, the junior college transfer. 8th in the A-10 right now at 3.3 assists per game. Donaldson good on the first. She gets them both. First points of the night for the A-10's leading scorer. And Fordham the early 3-point lead. And they stay in the pressure D. Dayton's across safely this time. Jones forcing her way low. Up through contact. And a rebound for Donaldson. Hayford pushing. Lee tells Davis to give it to Donaldson. And now the post touch. And the good defense from Mariah Perez. Perez on this end catches in traffic, finds Bohannon to pull, and Destiny Bohannon has all 5 early Dayton points.
And if Taya Davis is going to guard her on that switch, that's going to be easy for Destiny Bohannon to take her to the basket and pull up for open mid-range jumpers.
Dayton coming off an overtime win at LaSalle over the weekend. Bohannon made 4 late free throws to secure that win. Now she has 5 early points today. Amy Hayford was fouled by Ivy Wolf as the Rams stay active on the offensive glass.
And that's the way Fordham is going to try and win this rebounding battle, using their guards, crashing and taking advantage. Right there, Ivy Wolf just ball watching a bit and loses Amy Hayford behind her.
Aminat Ali sits. Miranda Nyborg, whose playing time has taken a downturn recently, gets in early tonight. And Nio Lear, number 1, is in for Dayton. Hayford from the elbow, well off, but it's Nelson on the offensive glass. 5 offensive rebounds already for Fordham. They average 15 a game, one of the best numbers in the country.
And against a top 3 team in the A10 in Dayton, who doesn't really allow any offensive rebounds. And how about Taya Davis getting into the action?
Let me correct myself just for a second. Fordham is a good offensive rebounding team. They only get 13 a game. That's a backcourt violation. Lear got double teamed, panicked, and threw it to Ariana Smith, who is still in the backcourt.
And something that was a little shocking about that, Ivy Wolf here, their primary ball handler, just on the other side of the court. You would think as their best initiator, she's got to come to the ball and secure that and get that ball over midcourt.
Hayford turns the corner. Wolf has it this time. Wanted to throw it ahead for Smith. Decides to go safe. Wolf for Smith. Right into Nelson. Back up top with 15 to shoot. Wolf off the handoff. Didn't have the step back. Good check by Nyborg. Shot clock's at 6 for Anissa Jones. Perez has the smaller Davis on her and gets the lefty too.
How about that? Staying relaxed. Dayton didn't panic. They saw Mariah Perez, had Taya Davis on the post. They just waited, got it to her, and she executes.
Halfway through the opening quarter, Fordham by 1 with the basketball. And Nio Lear with the forearm on Hayford. That's an automatic whistle. And it'll send us to our first break of the evening. Destiny Bohannon has 5 early points, but her Flyers are down 1 in the Bronx.
At some point, we all learn the value of money, the promise it holds, the good it can do, the security it can provide. At Ridgewood, we want to help you to continue to learn with short online courses covering key financial skills.
The course about how to retire early. Total winner. Wow.
Check out our free courses at ridgewoodbank.com.
Rooftop party, jump party, bomb party, rooftop party, jump party, bomb party, rooftop party, jump, rooftop party, jump, rooftop.
One more.
One more.
One more, please. One more, guys. One more. Set up.
Hey, kid. Yeah, we'll take one more. Oh, one more. Wow! Do it one more time. Do it one more time.
See that thing John Morant has? That's a hypervolt. That thing he uses to warm up and stay loose before he throws it down. That thing Tony Finau uses on course between shots. Ooh, that's money. That thing Robin and I use before and after we're on the bike so we can ride harder tomorrow. That thing Erlen Holland uses before smashing it into the back of the net. That thing that's for everyone. The Hypervolt from Hyper Ice. Give your body the daily relief it's been asking for.
Welcome back inside the Rose Hill Gym. There is Tamika Williams-Jeter, a great player, now trying to continue the recent Dayton success. It's year 2 with the Flyers, her third season total as a head coach. So there's still a lot of learning to do, but with her UConn background, her WNBA background, she's got a lot of people to lean on. For more on that, let's go courtside for the first of the night with Adona Thaki.
Well, Coach Williams-Jetters was very gracious and humble when talking about her mentors. She says she talks a lot to Gina Auriemma, Chris Daly from UConn, Joni Taylor at Texas A&M, Carol Owens from Notre Dame, and Dawn Staley at South Carolina. Then she said, I got my crew with Sue Bird, Swin Cash, and Asia Jones whenever I'm struggling with life. She said they're always telling her to keep her head up and to remember where you started. And she'll call Coach Mike Tebow and send some clips and also ask for his advice. Andrew?
Thanks so much. That was very funny on the phone a couple of days ago. She didn't want to do it and then spent about 3 minutes naming a third of the Basketball Hall of Fame, basically, that's all in the speed dial.
Again, humble brags are humble brags. And when you have a Rolodex that deep, you got to think for Coach Williams-Jeter, a lot of people that she can go to when she needs advice.
Now, the one thing we got to point out, there's a mini conflict of interest as Lee runs the floor. Great look from McGurk, and the easy two for Fordham. Swin Cash, who Coach mentioned, is married to Steve Canal, who played basketball here at Fordham. So I think for a game like this, Swin Cash probably is off limits, right, for Tamika Williams-Jeter?
I like that 6 degrees of separation that you're putting down right now.
I think she has to abstain from any kind of help for the Flyers before they play Fordham because she's half a Ram married to Steve Canal.
But I'm sure Swin would like that post work there. Mariah Perez gets that hook shot to go, and Dayton now cuts the lead to just 1.
Tamika Williams-Jeter is a Ring of Honor member in Storrs, Connecticut. She, I think, is still the NCAA's all-time leader in career field goal percentage at 70%.
I think that's automatic bucket, right? That's got to be the definition.
I mean, I'm not sure I could hit 7% of my shots against air.
I was going to say in 2K, I've never averaged 70% from the field ever, and that's with the sliders down.
McGurk on a miss sends Dayton the other way. This is Bohannon and those 5 early points for Dayton. Perez swings through on Lee, but loses the handle. And we've got 5 players coming into the game. Hayford and Nelson for Fordham. Jones returns for Dayton, and we get our first looks at Shannon Wheeler and the aforementioned Eve Fiala, the reigning A10 Rookie of the Week.
And so far we're seeing 2 different approaches scoring-wise. Mariah Perez and Destiny Bohannon, 9 points combined between the two of them. But for Fordham, 5 different players have scored, so seeing some nice distribution right there offensively for the Rams.
This is Amy Hayford looking for some space, takes on Lear, gives up to Tilly Flood. And now it's Davis showing off the handle, crossing on Bohannon, and she gets the roll off the window.
I just love how Taya Davis can take it to second gear with that crossover and accelerates. And how about that? Through the contact, makes that layup.
Nice skip by Lear. It brings Jones in off the wing, but handled by Hayford. So a reset with Lear, the sophomore guard from Illinois.
And she had 11 points last season on 4 of 8 shooting, 7 games in double figures.
A whistle, and I think this is on Rose Nelson. You're allowed to put one hand on the offensive player, but if you switch, now you're breaking the rules, and that's what Rose did there.
That's the good old-fashioned hand checking is a reason why it's no longer allowed. And defenders would have great times navigating you where they want. Right there, Rose Nelson against the quicker Dayton player trying to do the same there. She gets caught.
Lear, a couple of jab steps. Hayford hand in her face, so now it's Wheeler into Rose, who gets the block. She leads Fordham in that category, 7th in the A10, and she has her first of the night. Hayford driving again. Now it's Lear playing defense, taken back by Lee.
And 6 offensive rebounds for the Rams. Surprising, gets a Dayton team that does a good job limiting you to one and done.
Taya Davis driving again, couldn't scoop and spin it in. And Eve Fiala has the rebound for the Flyers, who are down 3 with 90 seconds, or now 85 seconds left in this opening quarter. Bohannon's got some size on Davis. It ends up with Jones out of the corner. Now Fiala. Nice give by Jones. Wheeler too strong. Fiala on the offensive glass. It's a Jones 3. Tipped by Aminat Ali, springing Hayford. Ahead for Flood, around Lear for 2. Nicely done in transition by the Rams.
And that's set up by Aminat Ali, understanding to not allow Dayton to get another offensive rebound. Volleyball, tap that back out, and you start transition offense right away.
Flyers could go quick here, but at the moment they're not. Got a 22-second differential. Shot clock and game clock.
And the Rams playing zone, and Coach Jeter told us she will welcome this. They want teams to play zone against them.
Baseline jumper is too strong, and that's tipped out of bounds by Fiala. Particularly, they like zones because that lets Ariana Smith have more room to offensive rebound. Smith wasn't on the floor. She's out there now to play defense the final 22 of the quarter.
Yeah, and for Bridgette Mitchell, she talked to us about playing that amoeba defense, going to throw different looks. So there's going to be some zone, some man-to-man. There'll be some different looks to try and confuse this Dayton squad.
Kayla Harris is in for Fordham, setting that screen for Taya Davis. 8 to shoot, foul line rimming out. A nice rebound by Bohannon. Dayton's got to be quick with 2. Bohannon with 1, and that's the end of the opening quarter. 10 minutes down, and a pretty good 10 minutes for the Fordham Rams on their home floor. They lead by 5.
Andrew?
Adona, thanks so much. It would have been better for me to do this yesterday when it was actually happening, but I want to congratulate Adona, who debuted in your chair last night for Fordham men against VCU. Crushed it.
Correct.
And she's a 4-year player here at Fordham. It is very nice to have an actual basketball person to bounce things off of, because you and I kind of know what's happening. But again, your reference point is your 2K sliders. Mine's JV high school basketball. Adona was a Division I athlete.
That's what I'm saying. Adona has that great perspective. I was on the playground killing it, but it's a little different than the collegiate levels right here. Offensive foul on Fordham.
So an empty trip on this end for the Rams after they let Ivy Wolf from NBA range drain that 3.
And she does shoot it at 36%, and that's one of those players. She leads them in scoring, their best passer, also their best scorer. So a lot of pressure on her to really not only initiate offense, but also get her shots when the opportunity presents itself.
And I can't remember a distribution or lack thereof like this. We've already mentioned that Dayton's not a great three-point shooting team in terms of percentage and just raw numbers of makes in a game or per game. A step through by Wheeler, snuffed out by Nyborg. There's 2 on the shot clock, and Davis intercepts. Rams are pushing. It's Hayford with a Euro. Contact, it's an offensive foul, and Wolf drew it. But to finish my point about Dayton, Wolf and Bohannon have taken 211 of their 328 threes. That's 64% of the team's three-pointers come from 2 players.
And Ivy Wolf entered tonight's game. Half of her field goal attempts this season are from downtown. So the scouting report is really clear. There are 2 players that you have to watch out for on the perimeter. Everyone else, you can kind of sag off and dare them to take those outside shots.
Jones sets up Smith down low. She'll face on Nyborg. Half a double team for a moment by Flood. Jones driving again into traffic. And there's Ariana Smith on the rebound. Her 3rd of the night, first on the offensive glass. It leads to Jones's jumper. That's off the back rim. But Perez has the reset now. So Smith and then Perez on the offensive glass, but Wolf steps on the sideline.
And Ariana Smith still doesn't have a field goal attempt. That's a big win for Coach Mitchell and her defense, not allowing her to really make her presence felt in the paint, as Kayla Harris will now enter in and trying to continue giving this Fordham front court some more depth defensively.
And it certainly seems between Lee, who started, and Nyborg and Harris coming off the bench, that the Rams are going to use those 3, one of them fresh on the floor at all times to deal with Ariana Smith. Rose Nelson on the wing. Now it's Hayford. Amy Hayford's had some shots come nowhere close to the rim here in the early going. Her team back on defense. Up by 2. Good entry pass. Good kick out. But not a good finish for Bohannon, missing the triple. Taya Davis, guarded by Wolf, lost her, has it spin out, and Smith pulls it down. Wolf, that's the cutting. Smith wanted Perez. Good hands by Davis. And then Mariah Perez is out of bounds. Taya Davis made that happen.
And how about the rotation there? Not only by Rose Nelson, but Taya Davis coming over, the smaller player, and forcing Mariah Perez to step out of bounds on the baseline. Good work. And also Taya Davis keeping her hands up just to make sure that that foul isn't called there. Great work by this Fordham team. Great help defense.
And now Davis gets a break. Mandy McGurk comes back in. Lee replaces Harris as well. Destiny Bohannon checks out for Dayton. And Niall Lear's back in. Fordham still looking for its first points of the second quarter. McGurk turns the corner, misses, and Lear goes the other way. That's a tough pass. Good intercept by Nelson. I'm not sure Ariana Smith was ever open there. Hayford knifes into the lane, stops, and gets it to drop in.
And Coach Williams Jeter spoke to us about their turnovers, saying 80% of them are basically travels or dead ball turnovers right there. Live ball allows Fordham to get out in transition for the easy basket.
You know, I thought she was mostly kidding when she said that to us the other day. And then in the LaSalle game, she was basically right on the number. They make a lot of unforced errors. The one saving graces, they usually lead to a whistle, not a run out, unlike that moment ago. Fordham by 4. Lee'll shoot it and bank it in. They were not going to guard her that far from the rim. Didn't have an open teammate, and then get the kiss.
Yeah, shooting struggles. Why not go to the bank? It's always open. That's what Tim Duncan used to say all the time.
Lead is 6, approaching the midpoint of the second quarter. Wolf's pass to nobody. Nice outlet by Lee. Donaldson to Hayford for an 8-point lead and a Dayton timeout. Beautifully done. It began with the bad pass, the quick outlet. And then Donaldson and Hayford, Fordham's top 2 scorers, connect. Hayford gets the hoop, and the Rams are up 8.
Here, our journey is accelerated with this energy overflowing all around us. We are wide awake with a constant urge to engage a restless city. To step outside and walk 8 million paths, where one moment can transform everything. That's why we choose Fordham.
All those nights studying. Busy days applying what you learned. Some might say you're really determined to get an A in that class. But if they knew what you were working on, they'd get it. It's not just about your GPA. It's about finding your purpose and making a difference. At the University of Dayton, we don't just fly, we soar.
Get ready to crown a new champion at the 2024 Atlantic 10 Women's Basketball Championship. A week filled with thrilling action for the entire family awaits from March 6th to the 10th at Enrico Sports and Event Center. Individual session passes are available now, so visit your school's box office to buy yours today. With 15 teams, 14 games, and only one champion, this is an event you won't want to miss. Get your tickets now.
We all have our own financial stories, and one of the biggest chapters is buying a first home.
Come on, Dad.
At Ridgewood, we're dedicated to providing straightforward pricing,
Affordable rates, and an easy online application.
If it were me, I'd go for the fixed rate. But the adjustable rate mortgage is looking pretty good too.
Get started today at ridgewoodbank.com.
One more. One more.
One more, please. One more, guys. One more. Set. Hop.
Hey, kid. Yeah, we'll take one more.
One more. Wow!
For a long time, these two programs were the class of the Atlantic 10, but the head-to-head has favored Dayton almost from day one, a 27-9 overall lead. Fordham won in Ohio a year ago, but all the Rams that did the heavy lifting in that game are no longer with the program. Tamika Williams-Jetters 0 for 1 in this head-to-head. The oddity that seems apparent in the rundown is Fordham has actually never won back-to-back games against Dayton, something they could do now across separate seasons, but they could do that here today.
Yeah, and for the years that both teams were really good, never got to face each other in the A-10 championship game. And so far for Dayton's offense, needing something to get those propellers going. Scoreless over their last 4 minutes, 1 for their last 11 field goals. Something needs to happen between Mariah Perez and Destiny Bohannon, who are 4 for 7. The rest of the team, 1 for 9 combined.
Shauna Green was the head coach before Tamika Williams-Jetter. She is now doing an equally good job at Illinois. The Rams have gone from Stephanie Gately to Candace Green last year as an interim coach, and now Bridgette Mitchell with a full-time job in year one. The delay, as you can see, we had at least one, if not two, water bottle spills in the Fordham men's game last night, and now I think we've had our first on the Fordham sideline tonight. So there's an epidemic of spills.
See, I'm huge on the water bottle. When I open the water bottle, I have to drink it. After that, I need to close it. It needs to go back down to the ground. I do not like open water bottles around me. That's just me.
We also created some stir last night because what we now believe was the second water bottle spill. We weren't sure at first what actually was spilled, and we referenced the fact that both Josh Rivera and Kyle Rose for Fordham have actually gotten ill on the court recently from playing so hard, and how much, in a very gross way, their head coach loves that level of commitment. And I guess people are listening because all of a sudden there are all these tweets about Fordham leading America in vomiting players on the court.
See, I'm surprised you didn't give the nice little Jackie Moon semi-pro reference where they run that one play so many times that you know it so well that you end up throwing up. That's the type of commitment. And right here, Aminat Ali says, you know what, let's forget about vomit. Let's go right to work. Gets the layup to go. But Keith Ergo, I mean, I think there's a little Jackie Moon there where he might like that, want his guys to run plays so much that they end up vomiting uncontrollably.
So we've since confirmed that there was not a third sickness last night. It was all water last night. And we've got our first spill today, all cleaned up. Rams playing good basketball as well, leading by 10 until that Dayton hoop from Mariah Perez.
And Dayton's offense really at their best with the high-low. Their bigs play very well together. Good pass their entry to find Mariah Perez.
Rams have this nice early lead, even though Taylor Donaldson doesn't have a field goal yet. Manny McGurk banks in a three. That's 2 off the window for 5 points in this quarter.
And Manny McGurk was 1 of her last 20 from beyond the arc. She's a much better shooter than that. And so far with that floater earlier and now the wing 3, finally starting to find some rhythm again.
And that one make was January 6th. Today's February 7th. She went a calendar month between triples. Apparently the problem was not using the glass. Bohannon got the baseline, got in the air, wild shot, good contest by Nelson. But then Rose fouled Mariah Perez on the offensive rebound. Here's McGurk again. It's been a struggle for her from deep.
Yeah, partner, sometimes when you need it to go, just aim for that nice little white box inside of the glass there, and you're good to go. Again, a lot of people made a good living knocking shots off the backboard.
Now, they usually had to get the ball out of the peach basket after they did that. McGurk, I think, is still smiling after the make. We're getting late second quarter. Fordham has this 11-point lead.
Right here, good job by Anissa Jones, understanding with the smaller Mandy McGurk on her, go right to the basket, and McGurk swipes on her forearm.
Jones at the free throw line, a senior from Westerville, Ohio, and the lefty knocks it down, and she finally has a point. She was 0 for 6 from the floor. Gets the free throw, and now gets the seconds.
Yeah, 4th on the team in scoring at 9 points per game, but had a season-high 13 rebounds. Again, one of these Dayton players that's just so good and so aggressive on the glass.
Nyborg, couple of pump fakes. Good defense by Perez. Davis denying Ivy Wolf, so Perez does it herself, and now Bohannon takes over. Under 3 to go before halftime. Good look by Wolf, but Perez misses from in tight. And Flood ends up with the basketball. Dayton's okay with Taya Davis shooting, and Davis doesn't shoot. Again, it's Nyborg versus Perez. Tough fall away. And this is on Bohannon in a box out with Flood.
And Matilda Flood, again, one of those players who's just constantly at 1,000% with her energy. Right here, getting good position in Bohannon. No choice but to hook her as Matilda Flood gets great position in the paint.
Whitney Armstrong made that call. Brandon Appel and Keith Miller, the other officials tonight. Fordham going small late in the quarter. Davis got it in, but to the wrong side. It's Bohannon. With McGurk back, the pull-up is true from Destiny Bohannon.
And that's something for Taya Davis. She does lead the A-10 in total turnovers right now. So while the passing has gotten better throughout the season, still has to be weary of those bad drives and those bad passes. Again, bad shot there, and Dayton gets back on offense.
8 straight games of at least 3 turnovers for Davis. Now, she has picked up the assists, but she's still negative head-to-head in those 2 categories, and no matter how many assists she has, it's too many turnovers. Playing defense against Wolf. Nelson helps. Here's Jones, strong into the lane, but misses everything out of bounds deep in the shot clock.
Yeah, Anissa Jones 0 for 7 from the field, and for Coach Williams Jeter, just looking for something to sustain offensively, as right now their leading scorer is Destiny Bohannon, but even she's shooting 3 for 9. So aside from Mariah Perez, who's perfect from the field, everyone else, it's really been tough sledding throughout this first half.
Fordham not much better at 34% shooting. It's 28 total for the Flyers, and the Rams have a 7-point lead. It was 11, though, a few moments ago. Davis working low against Wolf, and Wolf couldn't close off the end line, so that's a foul.
Taking another look here, Taya Davis taking it upon herself to work on Wolf in the post, and before she can get that pass off, Wolf just using her body to push her out of bounds.
If you're the defender in that spot, if you can get your foot out of bounds, then you're good.
Yep.
But when Wolf stops short of the end line and Davis tries to reach around her and runs out of space, that ends up being a foul, and it puts Wolf on the bench here for the end of the half. Donaldson misses. Her struggles continue. And a chance for the Flyers to get a little bit closer here before halftime. Lear couldn't do it. Smith on the offensive glass, and Davis was trapped low and picks up a foul.
And Ariana Smith has 6 rebounds here in the first half. And again, with how active she is down low, it's just so hard to have to deal with, as Taya Davis on the ground almost looks like Jeff Van Gundy trying to hold on to a leg there as Ariana Smith looks for the putback.
Free throws for Ariana Smith. And she's good on the first. 71% free throw shooter. She did not travel to Philly for their LaSalle game over the weekend. Dayton has battled the flu in recent weeks, and Smith, a long delivery, and Fiala stepped in. It's a lane violation, so no make for the Flyers, just 1 point.
And Ariana Smith, 5 double-doubles in Atlantic 10 play, but her last 2 games had 6 straight games in double figures. Her last 2 games just 7 and 2 respectively.
Hayford curled. She was open but couldn't hit. She's missed a bunch from in tight in this opening half.
And against this zone, Dayton has to try and find either Fiala or Smith at the elbow. You got to get inside on it.
They get it to Smith, and she gets the 2. The applause you might hear from Tamika Williams-Jeter, Dayton's head coach. She loved that offensive set, and her team has shaved off 7 points of an 11-point Fordham lead.
Yeah, despite shooting 22% this quarter.
Hayford again, down the lane with speed. This time it's in. One more push for Lear. She's got time. She's got space, but she doesn't get the 2. Nelson got her hand up, and it sends Fordham off at the break with a 6. But her team leads by 6, and Donaldson has the basketball to begin quarter number 3.
And how about the Rams? Just 3 first-half turnovers. They didn't have a turnover in the first quarter, so ball security has been great, and they're also forcing turnovers on the other end.
Skip pass to McGurk, into Lee, traffic there. Shot clock's at 12. Rose Nelson puts a shoulder into Smith. Now it's McGurk through traffic and off the window for 2.
And I don't know what's gotten into Manny McGurk, but desperately needed a bounce-back game. And how about that against the bigger Destiny Bohannon, gets that floater to go.
Ivy Wolf looking to her sideline for instruction. One finger in the air to start the offense. Anissa Jones was 0 for 7 shooting in the first half. Gives it up to Wolf. Smith far from the rim. Gets around Hayford and then walked.
We talked about how much traveling has affected this Dayton team. Just bad footwork in the paint, and that has been a majority of the problem in terms of why they've been turning the ball over. And, of course, Coach Williams-Jeter not going to be happy with yet another traveling call.
Fordham is led by as many as 11. It's 8 right now, shortly after halftime. Another Hayford drive. Good D by Bohannon. Lee's got position. Dribbled it off her foot, recovered, 5 to shoot. McGurk just notices. Wanted Nelson in the middle, and there's the whistle for the shot clock violation. While they reset, let's hear about both head coaches from halftime. Here's Adona.
To run more. We need to get out in transition because Dayton is running. She said in that first half, we out-rebounded them 13-9, and we need to continue doing that and moving without the ball. Then on the other hand, Dayton's head coach, Tamika Williams-Jeter, said, we turned the ball over too much. They beat us on the boards, missed some easy baskets, and in that first half, we need to control the paint, and we got to win these 50-50 balls.
Mariah Perez in the paint. The baby hook is through for her.
And I love how demonstrative these Dayton bigs are. They put their hands up. They'll wag the finger like Dikembe Mutombo if they don't feel like they have it, or they'll give the thumbs up. I love that. The bigs are communicating. Make sure that, hey, if I have it, give it to me. If I don't, look elsewhere.
And as we've said, this is not a three-point shooting team, so those bigs have to get position, have to hit those shots from tight if they're going to score points. Ivy Wolf, one of the few deep threats for Dayton. Thought about the trigger there. Instead, it's for Smith and now Perez. Little out of control, but has a teammate. That's Smith. And that's free throws for Ariana Smith. Rose Nelson's going to get the foul, and that's 3.
Yeah, the bigs for Dayton play so well within each other, and a great shot fake there by Ariana Smith to get Rose Nelson off her feet.
Shannon Wheeler replaces Mariah Perez for Dayton. Lee and McGurk will leave. Davis and Flood come in. Dayton gets a little smaller, so Fordham gets a little smaller. And Ariana Smith knocks down the free throw.
And only played 17 minutes, already has 10 rebounds, so has made her presence felt on the glass. Now it's just a matter of getting her shot going. In the last 2 games, shooting 29% from the field.
She averages 11.2 rebounds per game. It leads the conference. It's 9th in America. She's had a 21 rebound game this year. That's the 5th highest total in program history. Now, it did come against a non-Division I opponent, but she's got more than 10 plenty of times against D1 teams. In fact, her coach says that she's visibly angry when a game ends and she doesn't have double-figure rebounds.
And I love how Coach Williams-Jeter kind of prods at her and says, hey, if it were me out there, I'd be getting 20 rebounds all the time. So I love that, motivating Ariana Smith to be her best, as Amy Hayford showing her best on the drive to the basket.
The only answer that was shorter than Tamika Williams-Jetter's Rolodex for advice was her breakdown of what makes Ariana Smith an elite rebounder. Called it an art form to rebound. Mentioned Charles Barkley, mentioned reading the rim. Called Ariana a zone buster. Normally that's a three-point shooter.
Exactly.
But because when you play zone defense, it's harder to box out, and you have to box at Ariana Smith. So when teams play zone, she eats, in her coach's words, on the offensive glass, and then it makes teams switch out of that zone.
Yeah, she requires so much attention down low that you have to react as a defense, and that allows Dayton to be able to open up passing lanes for backdoor cuts.
Nice step through, and a chance at three for number 3.
Taylor Donaldson just so crafty off the dribble. Anissa Jones trying to stay in front of her, but TD right here, nice little pivot, and steps right through as she looks to complete the three-point play.
And that's the A-10 leading scorer's first bucket of the game, and it comes at 6:25 of the third quarter with her team up by 8.
And it just goes to show you everyone else who's gotten involved. Aminat Ali has 8. Amy Hayford also has 8. Mandy McGurk has 7 points. So these are those instances when Taylor Donaldson doesn't get it going, it's usually bust for this Fordham offense. They can't get anything else. But we're seeing here, it's very even, very balanced. So has to be a development that Bridgette Mitchell is pleased with.
Donaldson misses the free throw, though, trying to draw the offensive foul. She was a half step late. That's a heavy collision with Shannon Wheeler.
And just so difficult to time it there and stop on a dime and try and take that. As you can see, her feet still moving as she tries to set position there. But just tough. Again, you and I, we're not taking that. We're going to let them. That's Olay defense, but Taylor Donaldson trying to put her body on the line there.
And then Bridgette Mitchell didn't know what to do. She wanted to argue. She also wanted to go see if her best score was okay, and she kind of got caught mid-step. Deep three from Wolf isn't there, but Wheeler is on the offensive glass. Jones tries. Can't hit the three. And she stays empty from the floor. 0 of 9 shooting for Anissa Jones.
And if you're Fordham, you'll welcome that offensive rebound. If they're going to kick it out for 3, that's exactly the shots that you want Dayton to take.
She came in struggling. She was 4 of 24 over her last 2 games. It's gotten worse here today. Hayford a little too strong with the lefty scoop. Wolf picks up the pace with Wheeler. Had position and draws the foul on the catch. This is against Matilda Flood.
And with Fordham playing a little bit smaller here, Rose Nelson is at the 5. This is exactly when Dayton can really use their size. And right there, Shannon Wheeler, she's a load to deal with as Matilda Flood gets called for that forearm in the back.
Wheeler coming off 14 points, 7 of 11 shooting against LaSalle. And her head coach called her an X factor. She's got a chance to really change the dynamic off the bench for the Flyers. Bohannon resets Perez, who walked. Tamika Williams-Jetter's confused because Perez never had possession. But Whitney Armstrong made the call out on the wing.
Yeah, really didn't even get a chance to go up and gather, loses the ball. It just looked like just good defense there by Matilda Flood coming over and crashing in. But again, Coach Williams-Jeter has spoken to us about how much travels have played a factor, but right there was not the case.
Just about midway through the third quarter, Tilly Flood's got free throws, and she's happy about it.
I mean, she's got to have a smile. She had to deal with Wheeler on the other side in the post, and now here she can use her quickness to her advantage as she blows right by Wheeler and draws the foul.
Matilda Flood has started 12 games this year for Fordham. This, though, her 8th in a row coming off the bench. Her minutes dipped. They've picked back up recently. A spark plug of a player. For a while contributing more offensively than she had ever done before here. She went with 4 returning players from a year ago. Those offensive numbers have leveled off a little bit, but the defense, the rebounding, all the intangibles always there from Flood. And Dayton, a throwaway. That one's from Wheeler. It's a 10-point lead for Fordham. Timeout on the floor. They've got this 10-point lead, even though their best scorer, the best in the Atlantic 10, has 1 field goal. It was a moment ago. But Fordham, so far, so good with a limited TD.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Rose Hill Gym. Fordham is leading 35-25 here, and Taylor Donaldson is the X factor for Fordham's offense, and she's first in the A10 at scoring 18.3 points per game. But I asked Miranda Nyborg, what else does she bring to this team? She said Taylor is super steady and always brings a calming presence. She comes in every single day competitive with a strong work ethic. She leads by example, gives it 100% every time she steps on the floor. Andrew?
Donaldson in her first year for Fordham, New Mexico State the first 2 years. They didn't ask her to do much scoring, but Bridgette Mitchell said she knew she could. There was a coach that gave her a tip, a friend in the business, about what TD could do. Put it in front of her. Donaldson wanted the responsibility, wanted the weight of leading an offense. All that being said, I don't think anybody was expecting her to lead the conference in scoring.
Yeah, she was averaging just 8 points at New Mexico State, but she's embraced this bigger role, knowing that she is the best offensive player on this team, and she is really flourishing, as you mentioned, leading the A10 in scoring. And how about this? With just 4 points on 1 of 5 shooting, if you were to tell Bridgette Mitchell that the score was 38-25, she would probably tell you that Fordham was down by 13 and not up by 13.
Mariah Perez threw a lead contest, missed. It's out of bounds to Fordham. More points for Fordham, not from Donaldson, who might have gotten the assist there on that Flood 3.
Yeah, and if Matilda Flood is knocking down 3-pointers, that is sprinkles on top of the sundae. You will take that every single time.
What's even more impressive about the Donaldson 18 points per game, leading the conference, hard fall from Hayford running through traffic. She's okay. I think she's just tired more than anything else. It's a foul against Dayton. With all due respect to Amy, Donaldson's the only Ram that you really need to game plan for. Yep. Teams know that she has to score for Fordham to really be successful. So she gets almost all the defensive focus, and she still gets her points.
Yeah, exactly. When you're a 3-level scorer, it's just so hard to game plan. And Taylor Donaldson seeing a second defender come over. She's seeing those traps. She's seeing teams collapse. And I think the next stage in her development and what we've seen here today, she does have 4 assists. So she's allowing the defense to react, and then she's finding wide open shooters.
There she is, catching and shooting from downtown. And all of a sudden, it's a 16-point Fordham lead.
And if she can't find open shooters, she'll shoot it herself. And Fordham, again, forcing yet another turnover.
Bad pass from Lear. Hayford navigates. Flood was open. It'll be Lee instead with position. The offensive rebound and free throws for Aminata Lee.
And how about Aminata Lee? She has been a bruiser down low on the offensive glass. As she right now, 8 points, 5 rebounds in 16 minutes. And how about this? With 3 defenders around her, doesn't get the first one to go, gets that offensive rebound, showing some nice passion afterwards. Aminata Lee, she's fired up.
She and Amy Hayford have 8 points to lead the Rams, and now Lee's got 9. She missed a good chunk of time, did Mina Lee, with a head injury. And there were games in the 8 that she missed that might have gone in the other direction if she was healthy. She's been very important to this team, rebounding, contesting shots, throwing in some points. Good hands by McGurk. Dayton will keep it. They certainly missed her, to say the least, when she was out. And now she's worked her way back into being physically 100% and also just game ready now again, too.
Yeah, and when she got the time at Cleveland State, she averaged 8 and 8, so she's someone who can be a potential double-double if she can stay healthy.
Ariana Smith stops the bleeding for a minute for Dayton with that hoop, but they're down 16 late in the third quarter.
Yeah, partner, that was their first basket in over 4 minutes.
Donaldson to a rolling Lee, out to Flood. Offensive rebound and a hoop for Mandy McGurk.
It just feels like there's a magnet on that ball for Mandy McGurk. She's gotten great shot selection, and right here, this Dayton offense really coming unraveled.
Fordham is 5 of 8 shooting in the quarter, and when they miss, they get it back and then hit.
And again, Mandy McGurk needed this, had not been shooting the ball well, but it's been a great get-right for game for her. 9 points, 4 of 7. She's knocked down her lone three-point attempt.
This is a Rams team that's lost 2 in a row, 7 of their last 8. Close calls against some good teams. You know, they're coming off a loss at Richmond in a game that finished 79-60, but they led in the third quarter. It was only late when Richmond's skill level and depth kind of overwhelmed a Fordham roster that is just straight short on players because of injuries and a change in coach and exits and having to rebuild an entire roster. So at times, they just don't have the horses against the true elite team. So that even that 19-point score is misleading because that was a game, a tight game, more than halfway through it.
Yeah, you mentioned it. They were up at one point. They held Richmond to just 27% in that second quarter to get themselves back into it. And you said it best. They don't have the firepower as Amy Hayford knocks down the mid-range jumper. Not enough firepower, but if they can do what they've done here tonight, which is take care of the basketball and obviously be a pest defensively, that is a formula for success for Bridgette Mitchell.
Ariana Smith, as always, being a pest on the offensive glass, earning free throws. 11 rebounds now for her, 7 points, so she's flirting with her 10th double-double of the season. She and all the Flyers need to pick up the production right now. Down 19, only 30 points deep in the third quarter.
Yeah, and Ariana Smith only has 3 field goal attempts. She has to get, if she's on the court, she has to get one touch every possession. You have to give her a shot to establish herself on the low block. Just 3 shot attempts, that's not good enough for one of your better offensive players.
The fewest points the Flyers have scored this year was 39 in a game at Richmond, but you can almost discount that one. They only had 6 healthy players for that game. They didn't have a three-pointer in that one, but a fairly full-strength team only scored 42 against Duquesne. So they can have some games where they just can't buy a basket, and they're having one of those again here tonight in the Bronx. Hayford off the pump fake, misses everything into Mariah Perez's hands. Wolf, that wasn't there. And the entire Dayton coaching staff, almost in unison, just ran their fingers through their hair in frustration because that was not a pass Ivy Wolf should have made.
Yeah, when it rains, it pours, and when things aren't going your way, you try and force the issue. And Ivy Wolf did have a season-high 8 turnovers last time out, so she has been prone to also turning the ball over, even though she's been their best assist person.
Mandy McGurk missed that 3. Final minute, third quarter. Rams have opened things up in this frame, leading by 17 at the moment. They've outscored Dayton 22-11 since halftime. Lear, no. Perez missing from in tight. Smith was too strong, but the Flyers still on it with Wolf. They've got 15 to shoot, 38 to play in the quarter. Perez wanted it. Smith didn't give it to her. Lear instead, challenged by Nyborg. Shot clock is off. Donaldson going all the way, and she'll shoot free throws.
And for Dayton, they'd have multiple bunnies at the rim. They do have 11 offensive rebounds tonight. They've had some looks, just have been unable to get those putbacks to go as they now stand 27% from the field.
McGurk, Kayla Berry, who was just in for the first time, and Miranda Nyborg check out here for Fordham. A rare night thanks to other people scoring and this good defense where the Rams have not needed a big effort from Taylor Donaldson. Eve Fiala comes back in for the Flyers. Mariah Perez will sit for what could be the final possession of the third quarter. Lear's driving and banking it in over Lee. 5 seconds for Davis. Donaldson can catch and shoot. Just a little too strong, and that'll do it for the third quarter in the Bronx. Fordham more than doubles up Dayton in the frame. This is what she is working off of. A great stretch of basketball where they just won and won and won 4 NCAAs. Shauna Green was in charge of the program then. Some great players either graduated or left when Shauna took the Illinois job. They're in year 2 of a rebuild, and they're certainly going in the right direction right now.
Yeah, both programs are really kind of in similar situations. They've been powerhouses in their respective conference for about a decade, and now having to rebuild with new head coaches. And Amy Hayford, who has just been a dynamo attacking the basket, takes the contact and now looks to complete the and one opportunity. How about this? Anissa Jones just getting right up in her, and Amy Hayford, not afraid of the contact, takes it, makes it off the glass.
Bridget Mitchell watching Hayford, Donaldson, and Lee all scored 10 points through 3 quarters. And now Hayford retakes the solo team high and makes it 13 points for her with the free throw. And this is now 9 of her last 10 games in double figures. Certainly finishing strong in her one season here in the Bronx.
Yeah, and if Fordham is going to want to make a run here down the stretch, maybe make some noise come A-10 championship time, they're going to need a second scorer behind Donaldson, and Amy Hayford showing that she can get into double figures consistently.
I'll get ahead of ourselves. I know Bridget Mitchell will not, but her team is up by 19 right now. Coming up on Saturday, still in this building, they take on a UMass program that is also in a rebuild with Tori Verdi, now the head coach at Pitt, after a great run in Amherst. That they had really become Fordham's rival. They kept seeing each other.
Yes.
They didn't really like each other, the players or the coaches, and a lot of those faces are now all gone. But that's a winnable game for Fordham on Saturday here. Then they go on the road. Oleanne's always tough, but Bonaventure is another program not where it wants to be. So there's a little bit of a window here for the Rams to maybe stack some wins right now.
No, certainly games to their advantage. And when it comes to the A-10 championship, seeding is everything. If you can put yourself in a position to have the easiest road to the final, getting those wins are going to help the Rams, hopefully to avoid that first-round matchup and get an extra day of rest.
Aminata Lee racks up another rebound and in the process draws a foul on Dayton. The Rams have gotten the lead to 20 once before. It's at 19 right now. Shot clock's at 8 for Davis. Lee in the paint, up against Smith, too strong, and that's last touch by Dayton. There's 3 to shoot for the Rams.
Yeah, for Mariah Perez, just not able to get a body on Rose Nelson, and that's been the case throughout this evening. Fordham has been able to crash the boards, and they've been able to avoid those box outs.
They get it in, they get it up, but miss everything with Lee, and back comes Ariana Smith. She's got 12 rebounds, so she's above her average, but it doesn't feel like she's had the impact on the glass that Fordham was afraid of.
Yeah, and I will say this. We expected Dayton to win in the rebounding category. They have a 34-30 advantage. What we didn't expect, Fordham, 28 to 14 points in the paint. That's where Dayton, that's where they can get theirs. That's where their bread is buttered, and they have been unable to really dominate in the painted area.
And being only -4 in that rebound category is actually
That's
good
a win
for Fordham because Dayton, their rebounding margin is +9 a game. That's a top 20 number in America.
They're coming off 52 rebounds against LaSalle.
Bohannon's 3 is in the air and down off a nice pass from Ariana Smith. It's a 14-point game with 7:45 to go.
Yeah, and the three-point shot hasn't been there, but Destiny Bohannon, the lone bright spot, 3 of 4 from distance tonight.
She's got 13 to lead her Flyers. Hayford, as always, gets the bounce. She puts her head down and she goes. Sometimes she goes too fast, too recklessly, doesn't work. That time, just enough body control, just enough English to drop that one through.
Yeah, what you have to love is the fact that Amy Hayford welcomes the contact. She's not afraid, relentless, embraces the contact, and is still able to get such a great spin on the ball. I got to think at carnivals that she's getting those toys every single time. I'm sure those guys are putting a little extra olive oil on the rim to avoid some of the spins that we're seeing from Amy Hayford.
And that feels like an important hoop, right? Bohannon knocks down the three. The Dayton bench is up celebrating. 14 points with 7.5 to go. Doesn't feel terrible. And Hayford comes down and gets 3. And now Lear gets 2.
Yeah, and Fordham has seen their share of scoring droughts throughout this game. Now, that's been canceled out by the scoring droughts that we've seen from Dayton. But if Fordham can go through another scoring drought, which isn't the case, Taya Davis, again, another contested layup that the Rams are able to hit. But for Dayton, it's got to start here. If they can get easy looks in the paint, that's one thing. But defensively, they've got to find a way to at least initiate another scoring drought if they're going to open the back door.
A kick ball called against Fordham. Here's Taya Davis.
And using that shoulder, bouncing off Destiny Bohannon, and still able to get it and kiss it off the glass.
We'll get a second look at this. I thought Anissa Jones tripped herself. Taya Davis does as well, but the whistle goes against her. It's been a tough night for Jones. She stepped on Taya Davis's foot. Easy inbound to Perez. She gets it back in the post, and she walked. And those are simple things. That's footwork. That's been a season-long problem, and it's still happening here in early February.
I will say Rose Nelson has really shown us something defensively. She's had to guard Ariana Smith, Mariah Perez, Shannon Wheeler. It's really been a revolving door, and Rose Nelson has it back down.
Perez just stole it back. Lear again with speed down that right wing, and this time she'll get free throws. Niall Lear almost had the winning basket at LaSalle over the weekend. She scored with about 6 seconds left in regulation to break a tie, but LaSalle scored, I think, 3 seconds later to force overtime. Too strong on the first free throw for the sophomore from South Holland, Illinois. Not a lot of folks in the Rose Hill gym tonight, but they're making some noise here. 1-2 for Lear. Her team down 16. They extend their defense. Donaldson to a shrieking Tilly Flood.
That's beautifully executed. They break the press. And Tilly Flood, great job filling the lane. And Taylor Donaldson, how about the vision? 5 assists here tonight.
With 8 rebounds and 10 points. All of a sudden, there's a lot of room for Lear. Nelson blocked the shot. It falls to Smith for 2, though. Flyers don't press after that bucket.
And partner, for Fordham, just 5 turnovers here tonight. Their season low is 13. So again, something must have been said. We know how much Bridgette Mitchell values taking care of the basketball, and tonight they've put on a clinic.
Bohannon and McGurk battling for that. They were both trying to throw it off each other, and I think Bohannon succeeded. Lear gets a breather. Anissa Jones comes back in, still looking for her first field goal. She's missed all 10 shots she's taken today.
And how about Ivy Wolf? She has 4 fouls, just 1 of 3 from the field. She has not been able at all tonight to really establish herself offensively.
She fouled out against LaSalle. They won even though that was the case. But tonight, the foul trouble, some good Fordham defense, some bad missed decisions by Wolf have messed up her scoring night. She's their leading scorer, just over 12 a game. And as you said, just 1 hit, 3 points.
Yeah, 4 turnovers to just 3 assists.
Rams give it up on this end. 16 points, 5 minutes to go. It's a lot of work to do for Dayton. But they are keeping themselves barely alive for a moment. And a hoop here would make them feel that much better.
And if they're going to get easy 3-point shots, it's going to be from Destiny Bohannon.
They'll give Smith that. She leaves it short, and eventually Davis has it for the Rams. That was a pretty good bump from Mariah Perez, trying to be sneaky with the hip. Rose Nelson is a well-built young woman, and that still dropped her. That's a heck of a contact from Perez. The whistle came, and now sends us to a break. The lead's been as big as 20. Donaldson to flood. It's 16 for now for Fordham. It has been a struggle tonight in the Bronx for Tamika Williams-Jeter and her Dayton Flyers. A season-long problem has been a problem again here tonight with 15 turnovers leading to 15 points for Fordham. And the Rams themselves protecting the basketball, just 6 giveaways from them.
It's been an impressive showing from these Fordham guards and their bigs taking care of the basketball. And when you look at it, Fordham 5th in the A-10 in turnover margin. And partner, when you look at the 4 teams ahead of them in St. Joe's, George Mason, Rhodey, and Davidson, again, I don't want to play one of these teams as not like the other, but those are 4 of the better teams in the A-10. We know how good St. Joe's and George Mason is. They'll have a big matchup tomorrow night for sole possession of first place. But when you're in that company, I think this is something that Bridgette Mitchell and her team can be really optimistic about. They can take care of the basketball and play that suffocating defense. Again, that is a recipe for success.
We'll get back to the turnovers in just a second, but Rose Nelson just changed. One of the more unique, remarkable stat lines that any player has in this season anywhere. And I don't mean to point this out because it's a negative number, but Rose Nelson came into today 0 of 2 from downtown and 0 for 15 from the free throw line. And she just knocked down both. She couldn't help but blush and smile. She got a standing ovation. But I can't remember seeing somebody in February have no made threes and no made free throws.
See, that's why I was talking about turnovers. I wanted Rose to understand that the pressure was off, and there you go. She knocks down both. Just cool, calm, and collected. But again, you mentioned it. I missed her first 15 from the charity stripe before going 2 for 2.
And threes, I mean, that's not part of her game.
Yeah.
So that's almost not worth mentioning. It's the 0 of 15 from the line. That was definitely bothering her, weighing on her. And she walked away with a different bounce in her step because not only did they go in, but the second one got a shooter's bounce as well.
Yeah, and she's one of those returning Rams who has really taken on this bigger role. And we're seeing different dimensions to her game that we didn't see last season.
Took a season-high 10 shots in their last game, hit 4 of them. She's a rebounder. She's their leading shot blocker. She's got 4 points, 4 boards, and one of those blocks in 27 minutes tonight.
How about this? One of 2 players alongside Tilly Flood with at least 15 assists, 15 steals, and 15 blocks.
Final 3 minutes here in the Rose Hill Gym. There has been little or no home court advantage for either Fordham program recently. The men are still winless in 5 Atlantic 10 games in this building. The women's program, in fact, owns the only home win in this gym in 2024. And they've got this one in the bag with time to spare.
Yeah, and hopefully for Bridgette Mitchell, she can kind of use this when they go back on the road. Because, again, they're 0 for 10 on the road. That's something that I'm sure the Rams are champing at the bit to try and get that and turn that 0 into a 1.
This would be their 8th overall win, their 3rd in the league, as they continue to extend their largest lead of the night. Now 24 off the Nelson bucket. And now Nelson gets the block. Bohannon went right at her. Nelson won it. Donaldson throws it away. Flood and McGurk were by themselves. Flood was the actual intended target, but she was setting a screen so McGurk could be by herself, but the pass wasn't for Mandy. The mistake doesn't matter because a 24-point game with Fordham cruising to a win in the Bronx. Bridgette Mitchell still coaching, but she's emptied her bench for the final 2 minutes with a 24-point lead on Dayton. Cassidy Mahaney is on the floor, freshman for Fordham, number 14. Just her 9th appearance, her first since December 30th. Kayla Berry is out there for Fordham as well, plus Flood, Nyborg, and Davis. Rams only dress 11 players. They really only play 10 because Mahaney gets in so frequently. So there's only so many swap outs Bridgette Mitchell can do right now with this game decided.
Man, it's been great balanced scoring. How about Taya Davis off the dribble? You got 3 players in double figures, and now 4 with Taya Davis. 6 players in double figures as Ifiala gets the putback to go.
If you gave Bridgette Mitchell an empty box score and said, fill this in the way you wanted to look after 40 minutes, we're probably in the area of what she would give us, right? Maybe more points for Donaldson, but she's going to love the balance. Mahaney couldn't hit the 3. Her teammates would have loved that. She's going to love protecting the basketball. In this particular head-to-head, she probably doesn't hate being -3 rebounding-wise, but this is basically what they want to do, lockdown defense as well.
Yeah, and they've eaten in the paint, 40 points in the paint. And again, Taylor Donaldson was averaging 17 shot attempts coming into tonight, just 3 of 8. But this is a big confidence booster for players like Mandy McGurk, like Matilda Flood, who knocked down a 3. Players who are struggling shooting the ball. Now that they've seen the ball go through the net, you've got to hope that this momentum can continue to carry on in conference play.
And you've seen on the court, on the faces of these players on the bench as well, it's been a tough year.
Yep.
A lot of transition, a lot of new faces, learning a new head coach, a lot of tough losses, close losses, just 7-15 coming into today. But there's still been energy from the opening tip, excitement and commitment through this game, and now they got a chance to celebrate a win as these final seconds tick off.